like it. It's a taste I like.
Yeah,
I grew a stevia plant, and I would just take a leaf off and eat it. And
I might like that.
Welcome to
I don't
the
know.
Late
It
Sesh.
tastes so artificial. It's strange. Welcome
It
to
is
the
strange.
As you
Late
can see, the
Sesh.
conversation is already rolling here. Cheers, everybody. I'm glad you could make it.
What's up, Phil?
Cheers.
All the
Oh, I
conversation
gotta get
stops
chat.
now. Because
All the conversation's over.
Good call. Let's get chat open.
Yeah, that's what I was looking. I was looking up at Chad. I didn't
Cheers,
chat.
try to get
Ooh,
all that
Jinx.
shit done.
Jinx,
Oh,
owe me
you
a Coke.
owe me a
You
Zevia.
owe me a Zevia Cola.
Zevia Cola.
I got a whole
Clear.
box.
Again, man.
Weird clear cola.
Clear cola, just like Crystal Comfort back in the day. That freaked me the fuck out too when I was a bourbon drinker, like Southern Comfort.
Zima.
Put that clear shit in there.
I would love
Zima.
some presence of Clear Light. I think that's what it's called. Clear Light? Clear Light, I believe.
What are you talking about?
Clear
I have no
Light.
idea.
What?
Clear Light. Yeah. Might have to talk about that on Polarity Science one of these days. New time, 11 p.m. Thursdays.
No.
No.
Shit.
No.
It's
9
11 p.m.
p.m.
now. The Late Sesh is on at 11 p.m. But our new time with Polarity Science is 9 p.m.
On Thursday.
Like Dovin.
Here we are on the Late Sesh
Yeah.
It's Monday.
with Monday. Kazoo, what's up, yo?
Oh man, I'm
I
starting
like
to
the
see bottom of
spotlight
this.
on here, Jason Eyestone. Cheers. I like the spotlight on here more because I'm not always in tune at looking down at my phone or anything. I'm definitely not used to that. So
Sequence is just going to collect everybody.
I'm clicking them, yeah, dude.
Yeah, why not? Just keep
That's
I'm
me.
producing. You guys have your. I'm in the
He's doing
background.
his
here.
thing. We're going to do ours.
cheers, Cookie Monster.
Oh, shout out to Sequence. Is this the first time you've been on camera in the Late Sesh?
No, but it's
probably
been a
not.
while.
Yeah, I don't do
I
a
was
lot.
watching. I
Is this
was.
the first time you've been on camera?
I was
shit.
watching.
Oh,
fail,
I was
man.
watching an old Late
Hold on,
Sesh,
hold
and
on,
you were
there we
on it sequence just today.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I appreciate you watching the show, Becca, and being on camera
one
now
person,
yourself.
right?
Interesting.
It's only one of you that watches it.
Well, you know what else I did just before I looped right there, and I opened up the Late
Cheers,
Sesh right
Marcus.
now, is I hit that like button. I hit that like button, and I'm already subscribed, but I might just hit the notification bell.
You should.
And while I'm at it, I'm just gonna jump into live chat. Let me jump into live chat so I'm not behind everybody here, and I know what's going on.
Wait a minute now.
Little
with
fader
this-
option.
with the chat
fader
that we
option
have
live
on our
chat.
screen. I think it's in live chat, or is it in top chat? We have no way to control it here.
Yeah, I'm only in full screen view. One simple screen.
You're in
Not
live
two.
chat on that
Okay.
chat.
So
Right on.
the setup I have is I have the same setup you guys are talking about, but also on my other monitor, I still open up YouTube chat so I can type because I can't type in YouTube chat.
Yeah, see, we have our devices open to YouTube
Oh,
chat.
you got your phone. Nice.
Yeah. So I can see chat, and cheers everybody, such as J Patrick and Indica B, Dog Doctor. Appreciate the love, everyone. I'll tell you what, guys, I have a hankering. Oh man, I was
Hankering for a hunk of cheese?
dude, dying
With
over
your
here.
10-gallon hats, feeling 5-gallon
Yeah.
flats.
Yeah.
Hankering for a hunka, a slab, a slice of chunka. Hankering
that's
for a
it.
hunk of
That's
cheese.
I got to shout out
That's it
T-Dog.
right
T-Dog,
there.
the artist, man, shouting out my government name. I almost didn't see it. I almost didn't see it.
Russell X.
Russell. Hey, man, I put that up on.
Cheers, Daddy Red.
I made a decision, I think it was last month, that I was going to put my name into Instagram and say, fuck it, I have nothing to lose. And I want to try to normalize it. So I'm going to try to.
Cheers,
I
T-Dog.
don't care about my name as far as trying to keep it secret or anything like that.
I have trouble calling you that Spartan because that's my ex's name.
Well, you can call me Spartan too. I answer to Spartan.
Swerve that
Calling
one
you Russ
quickly,
is
right?
weird.
It's weird for me with baked. It's weird for me with baked because I go back and forth. I could call him either one.
Right.
So now it's more of like, where am I
Oh
at?
no, I don't even know his real name. I don't want to know.
He goes by a few himself. So don't worry
It's a
about it.
unique name, so it's easy
Maybe
to
I
remember.
know.
It's
Yeah.
unique.
You
to
won't
me.
remember it.
Yeah.
I can't
It
remember.
doesn't look like one.
Yeah, because
Well, I only know one other person named that.
Malcolm
Yeah.
Terwilliger.
It's not common, and he doesn't look like one. I don't have. I
But
mean,
is
I
he
remember
Kanye?
it, but
If he's
it's
not common, is he Kanye?
Yeezy.
He looks more common than he
He
must.
goes by
Give it up for
Yeezy.
Common and Kanye West. No, nobody knows that. The food.
Do you
and
have a
all.
sixth sense?
Just quoting some early 2000s hip hop, right? It's okay.
And
We're just
I'm
gonna keep on driving
Yep.
through the night, man.
So the Sixth Sense is one of my favorite beats. Man.
I see red people.
Red people.
I like it.
That's great. Boulder Pond.
I have several boulders, says Big.
Some are up your nose, and some aren't.
What is a pun?
pun?
Not a pun.
Pwn. It's
What
like-
is a
Pwn?
P?
Yeah, you've been
PWN?
pwned.
What is-
You've been
what is a
owned.
pwn?
That's Leet speak, which was gamer talk, and pwn just
Oh.
means usually if you killed somebody, you destroyed them, you beat them. I
Like
pwned
you
you.
like swerve, like
Oh,
Intentional misspelling of the word owned.
Because you would get
I-
flagged back in the day, right?
I
No,
don't,
that was
no,
just
I don't
Leet
think
speak,
so.
man. They made their own you make your own little language so that they don't know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I remember all the little skater boys thought it was so funny to go run around and say that to each other. So that's just what it reminds me of.
explain
Middle
why
school
I
skater
didn't
boy.
understand it.
It's
Is that boy with a Y or boy with an I?
generational
I.
language.
It's with an I.
I.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a bad one. I hate that.
Yeah.
Multiple.
The Avril
No,
Lavigne skater boys.
I was thinking like
Sequence. Why don't you
6th
highlight
grade.
Rick Wolf's comment?
He was a skater boy. Said, "See you later, boy."
Now he's getting.
I think we should highlight Eric I's comment. Somebody's
Hey.
busy in the garden.
Rick Wolf, I agree.
Somebody's got to do it, you know.
Comment or grow related stuff. We can't do that.
Grow really?
Well, that sucks because I wanted to talk about guttation.
What?
One more time.
Guttation.
Well, you can talk about the gut. What about the gut?
Guttation.
Yeah, the gut. The guttation. Yeah, the gut spins round and round and round. We got two of them.
I don't want
Ooh,
to talk about your guttation.
I do want to give a get
We
well
shouldn't.
to Blue Kiss.
Yeah.
Cheers. I see you in chat. I hope you're feeling
Yeah,
better.
get better, Blue Kiss. Smoke some weed to make your bones heal.
I'm officially curious about this new word.
Red.
I
You
don't
don't know
think
the
it's
word?
new.
You don't know what
What is
this
the
is,
verb?
Red?
Oh, it's official now.
No, I haven't heard what guttation.
He's
Really?
officially curious.
Oh.
Curious George.
Well, yeah, I posted a photo. I don't know. I guess it was last week or something about. I noticed in my veg room, I was just scouting for bugs, and as we do, looking around on our plants and the surfaces of our plants and on the underside and everything. And I noticed on the underside of one of my leaves that I don't know. I don't think I posted it sequence, so you can't really pull it up. I noticed that there were two little brown, I don't know what you call them really, just kind of like sacks of like a liquid that formed kind of near where the leaves meet the stem. And I always remembered, I always actually, when the first time I ever saw that, it looks like sap almost kind of. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it looks like sap.
Was it red?
Yeah, it's kind of like brownish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I first saw it a long time ago, I freaked out thinking, what the fuck is that? Is that bugs? What is that? And yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you for the illustration.
And yeah.
Oh yeah, have you ever tasted that stuff?
I-
It's ripe. Ooh, it's ripe.
I didn't taste it because the ones on my veg plants were really, really tiny.
That stuff's ripe.
But
One heck of a.
So that's called guttation. Guttation.
yeah, and if you Google the meaning of it, it doesn't exactly sound like it's something good that happens to the plant. But I mean, I've been following Lovin' in Her Eyes for years, and she has a lot of really good photos of this that she posts throughout her story and or her post or her page, I guess I should say. And I don't know, she always just kind of explains that it's not anything that she seems as a detriment to the plant. So I don't know. Have you guys noticed it? And has anybody in chat noticed it? And
My old man eyes were trying to read what Sequence had up there. It said that guttation is what happens when plants have more water available than the organism can uptake. Is that what that said?
Basically, yeah. It's just another way for the plant to transpire water.
That's probably why I see it a lot.
Oh, seen
Yeah.
it in other plants, maybe.
So uptaking more water than it can basically transpire, so it pushes it out in a little bit of extra. Looks like sap and tastes kind of bad.
I've seen it in vegetables.
It's not like a big resin ball. It's just the
Right.
little tiny
water.
bead, like the size of I'd say no bigger than a pinhead.
yeah, that's what the ones in my veg room are, really tiny.
Yeah.
those in the cocoa plant.
Looks like the size varies quite a bit. Looking at
Do you have
pictures,
a
but
Do you have a pulse, painting lady?
Yeah.
Stick it. Do you have one in your veg?
No.
Stick it in your veg. I'm just curious. I wonder if VPD has anything to do with it. Like that's what it sounds like by the description. Like it's the pressure. So I wonder if your VPD is like one. It's probably like a low humidity and a high temperature or something like that.
Oh,
where
fuck.
really,
It is a high ass humidity. My veg room
85.
is like 80.
Is it low temps? No, it's probably got to be warm in there.
It's about 76 and it's about 83% humidity.
Oh shit. Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
see, but those ones
Jungle
just
in there.
opposite, where it's like 83 degrees and 76% humidity.
No,
Yeah,
Tropical growth going.
I
Thanks to
have
that
to
humid-
open the doors.
Yeah,
Just
I was gonna say, yeah. all right,
Keep your heat up.
Maybe that would stop it from happening if you wanted it to. But I guess if you don't see any negative effects,
Yeah,
They look-
keep your heat up, and your plants will love it. You'll get a bigger yield.
yeah. Yeah, they're taking off. You should see my fritter is almost as tall as me. I don't have room for it over in flower yet. I was like dying to put it over there, but anyway, yeah, it's just interesting. And I had a lot of questions or responses and replies to that post when I posted it on my story about people asking what the hell that was, and people thought that, said that they'd mentioned they saw it on their plants and thought it was bugs and that kind of stuff. And so they freaked out and sprayed their plants all down with shit and everything. And so anyway, if you notice this on your plants, it's called guttation.
Yeah,
Thank you. I didn't know anything about any of that. I've never seen that in my garden before.
I think that's
I've
one of
seen
those
some.
things that people run into very rarely, so they don't know what to do about it or what to call it, and then they just kind of freak out. It's a
I
nice one
tasted
to
it.
cover.
I saw it. I knew it was an excretion from the plant. I tasted that shit.
Did you taste it on your finger? Or did you lick the bud?
No, I tasted
Red
it.
will taste any excretion.
And it tasted very similar to if you top your plant,
his
or
face.
like if you harvest or something like that, and like how you'll get like a little like bit of liquid that starts to come out and kind of drip down a little bit. If you taste that, it's almost got a little bit of a, I don't know, pretty
Does it have a CalMag taste?
bitter type of taste. No, I don't use CalMag.
Tastes like CalMag.
But it it has a little bit of a taste like that. Man, it's really hard to describe it because it really doesn't taste like the cannabis at all. It kind of just tastes like maybe what the roots would taste, maybe what like the root would taste. Earthy. There you go. It's kind of got an earthy bit to it. Earthy bit of bitter earth. I'll put my tongue on everything. That's right, Mr. Robert Greenfingers.
That'll end you up with a doctor. Such as
That's a good point.
listen to Dr. Drew on Friday mornings. YMH.
Yeah, I figured it's coming out of the cannabis plant. It must be pretty good for me, but it just tasted really ripe. Wasn't the best.
Yeah, I didn't taste the stuff. I just let it be.
I can't believe this is the conversation.
It was right, science.
It's only 14 minutes into the show.
Dab time.
And it's a good time for me to mention to everybody in chat, if you have any questions, make sure you guys type them out and tag one of us in it. We'll try to highlight it and throw it up here and kick it around.
Red's been talking about tasting and eating his random leaves and
He's Epicurean.
plant stuff since the inception of the bro show.
Oh, sure. I got a juicer mainly for that reason. So I can juice cannabis. Have I done it yet? No. Do I need to? Yeah.
I was almost going to ask you if you've eaten a blade of grass before, but then I just knew that was a pointless question to ask. Chew your cud, my friend.
I've
Chew your
eaten
cud.
grass. I've eaten grass before. I eat.
Les
I,
Miles.
of course I. Yeah.
You and DOG out there both together just haven't had it.
I've eaten grass in the last year, as a matter of fact. I mean,
Literally
Recently.
anything
Yeah.
from the
hey,
garden.
I'll grab a big piece of. I'll grab a blade of grass. I'll start chewing on that.
I'm with you. It has to have a thicker stalk though, because then
Yeah.
you can crunch into it and it's like juicy. I fucking love that
I'll pick
shit.
my teeth with it. I get the whole
Yeah,
nine.
I'm with
Yeah.
you. Conrad. I love doing it every year. I've
Absolutely.
done that every year for the last 43 years. I'm pretty confident I can say I've done it.
Farmer's toothbrush, right there, my friend.
Farmer's toothbrush.
Or toothpick. I don't do much brushing with that, but
You use a corn cob for that, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Where you get a bulk of its fibers from eating.
I got a love-hate relationship with the corn plant, man. The corn is the reason I got a busted tooth from popcorn. But we did grow some popcorn last year, and I tossed that sucker in a paper bag and popped it up and filled that paper bag with
The
popcorn.
broken tooth or the
Toss that
popcorn?
salad.
Broken tooth, you better believe it. You don't just get a
Dragon's tooth
tooth
in the
fairy, you get a
garden out
whole
there. You trying to
bag
grow
of
more
tooth
reds?
fairies. I got a
Is
whole
that what you're
bag
trying
of
to
tooth
do?
fairies.
Grow a whole army of views?
The point is not to just get one, coin from the tooth fairy, but you have to propagate your tooth naturally.
Just knock them all out and have at it, right?
Yeah,
I made $3.46.
there you go. That's how you do that. Yeah, the
Speaking of random amounts of
Popcorn's
money, there's
fun.
that $1.58 still floating around too out there in the.
It's not in the budget.
It's not in the budget, baby.
you should
Maybe next year.
you should really wear the jacket more often and get the value for it.
Good point.
Get the money's worth out of it at least.
Yeah.
You can't go strutting around it. I mean, I guess I could go try to sell houses with that thing. Like I look like a realty agent, Who was the one that was the gold coat? Somebody in chat help me out. Who used to wear the gold coats for old school realtors?
Century 21.
Thank you. Century 21.
Uh-huh.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
they have
lost.
the gold sign.
You just said you were 43. You're not
Brown
old.
gold
You're
sign.
like on the cusp of old.
I'm not what
You old, kind of like
Oh.
young and old at the same time.
I don't know, man, but I was
I
not
think
really
yold is just how you say it when you're from the south.
Old.
Old down there.
old.
Well,
Well, you know what they say.
What do they say? And why are they never here to explain
If you
themselves?
don't like the weather right now,
wait
wait
10
about 50.
minutes.
Wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was never funny all those years ago either.
Well,
Well,
Now, is that well with two L's or whelp with a P at the end?
that's a whelp with a P.
W-H-E-L-P.
That's a whelp.
that's a whale.
Fun word. Whelping
With a
has to do
hell,
with the breeding of dogs and animals. Whelping animals.
Yeah.
Mr. Manny reminds me that Hall of Famers also wear yellow jackets too. Red, what are you just pulling random bags of cannabis out of your shirt now?
Sounds like we're at the movie theater.
I know.
This
I
is
was
how I
like,
go. This is how I go to the
Down.
movie theater.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's like it's his first day on the mic.
yeah,
Sorry, guys. It's natural. It sounds of the. It's
Sorry,
supposed to feel like you're here with us, right? Supposed to feel like you're in
You're
the
doing
room.
good. You're doing great.
It's the sounds of the experience.
Is
Sure.
that what it is?
Yeah. Here it is.
And there's another one. That's the sound of the man working on the train
That's the
gang.
sound of the grinder. Yep. Yeah.
Right.
The train.
Red.
Skubbo, remember the
Oh,
generation. Oh, act like that's the first time I've ever done that. That literally do that every single show. No one's ever yelled at me yet, so I'll stop. I was at once
You
told
only
not.
took one time of heckling him to make
I
him
was at
stop. You
once
should have known
told-
that.
Now he's so self-aware about
I was
it.
at once told to not worry about it because it's the sounds of the smoke
shit.
sesh. So
That's it. Okay. It's
Um,
authenticity. Okay.
I do apologize about the loud clanking, everybody with headphones on. I am aware of that.
I've been smoking some cuvee that
Hey,
I
lady, you
pulled-
don't have headphones on.
pulled like a skilbo on,
point.
and I
proven,
saved
Red.
it for months because I don't have it anymore, and I just wanted to save the flower. And I pulled it out. And I've been smoking it today, and holy fuck, it's hit me hard.
I like
I'm
the-
excited to hear you say that because I've got a Cuvée Cross almost done.
Nice. Let it fucking cure for like this shit is like 2 months old probably.
Yeah.
Well, 2
Okay.
months old. Jeez.
I tell you what. Too, and so funny thing is, when this thing grew, it smelled amazing, and it was like a cherry Tootsie Roll. But when it dried and cured, the cherry went away, and it was just all Tootsie Roll. But now that I open it up again and start smelling it, that cherry's coming back. So that's another cool thing about like a really long cure.
Interesting. Well, this is the Lime River Rose.
Big Jaw, shout out to Big Jaw. He got that cut still. Your Lime River Rose crossed to a cuvee?
No, that's what Lime River Rose is. It's Cuvée
Oh.
and Ruby Jack.
Oh,
I
interesting.
like that
I'm gonna
name.
have those
Ruby
reversed.
Jack, not Jack Ruby.
Lime River Rose.
Yeah, I like that whole name.
And it's limey.
Bar.
Oh, so it
Limeys.
doesn't have any rose essence to it. I like a lime. I like a good lime.
Yeah, that cutted cuvee I got out to, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 different people. I know Big Jar, he says he's got it in chat, which is awesome. And also Indica B's got it. He's sharing some pretty good. Oh, we shared it on the show yesterday.
Cheers, Big Jar.
Yeah, we saw some good pictures of it yesterday.
The reason
Hey,
I got
lady
it,
and I smoked some of the Lime River Rose, and it smells so much like the Citrique Red. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
nice.
really?
Yeah.
Super limey.
Very, very limey. Yeah.
Nice.
It's tasty.
I'm starting to find it as a more of a common terpene, the limonene. So maybe it's just really popular right now. Seems to be out there though. Seems to be in quite a few things. The lemon dozy is very limonene heavy, but it's so much farther on the lemon side than the Citrique is. So that's why I really like the Citrique. I think the Citrique, I gotta get a terpene tested and see if there's pine in it. I think that might be the differentiating. It's really greasy though, so there might be something in there that might not come up on a terpene test. I think Balish was talking about that specifically yesterday and making a good point that there's a lot of alcohols and esters given fragrance and things that we might not see, even if we try to analyze it in a lab. So Citrique's piece of its own. I got some seeds right here that came out of some outdoors, so let's might try to hunt some more. Find a male, use that lime genetics and some of this other stuff with the green room or some of the genetics I hold. See what else I can keep going outdoors. This plant's got pretty big, so eventually I'll get you a cut sequence. I swear.
Oh, did you hear that? Did I get this on recording?
That looks pretty good, Skill.
Oh, he's got it on.
I didn't even bring it up for that reason.
He's got it on recording many times of me saying that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a montage of it.
How often do I see you guys? I see you guys 3 times a year.
It's a good
That's gotta be a
point.
fair point.
Man, so that's 3 times. How many did you
3
get?
opportunities. 6
Right.
opportunities.
I had it. I had a cut for him. I had a cut for him in a glass of water, and it was supposed to come to Luzerne, and we had so much shit to pack to Luzerne. I literally left it sitting in the grow room.
You know what's weird? We all live in Michigan.
Hey, Red explains why I haven't gotten a cut so long by explaining that he hasn't hung out or he doesn't hang out with us.
Just 3 times.
I will be real with you. I see my parents probably less than I see you guys, and if I'm going to see anybody, it's probably them first. And I'm just so busy, I never see anybody. So I don't see my brothers. I don't see anybody because it costs money to live, and unfortunately, this business is difficult. You know, it takes a long time and a lot of work to pay the bills. So I'm always hustling, always working.
Well,
So
I
Red,
do
you
think
got
it's
that
your
right, man.
personality too, Red. I always, like we always said, it was crazy that you walked up to us in the first place
Yeah,
and introduced
Oh, yeah.
yourself.
You wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that again. For sure.
I'm not one to. Yeah, I don't go do a lot of public stuff. Unless it's, I don't know. Like I said, it's
What's because you knew old man? That's your in was old man, and you guys met each other at DJ
Yeah.
Short's
I
then,
felt-
right?
I felt socially less awkward to jump into that circle.
Kazu says I've seen Red like 5 times this year. That's true.
That is true. I've run
Exactly.
into
the
KZoo at
Capitol
random
and-
places. That is funny. Yeah.
KZ was passing out trees at the Capitol.
Hey, he hit me up when he was in town.
Literally.
He hit me up when
Literally
he was in town.
trees.
Yep.
I think a squirrel ate that. It was
Yeah.
on our porch, and a squirrel just.
all of a sudden it was just gone.
Those KZ terps, man.
The pot was there and the whole plant was just gone. Chopped. Cut in half.
Your neighbor squirrels are tired of you growing trees, Red.
Local. No, they're local. They're residents. They're dwellers, as a matter of fact. They yeah. My neighbor's got traps out
Was
for
it an
them.
oak tree or some shit?
No, I wish I had some oaks around here, man. I really want to farm some shiitakes.
So the squirrels.
If anybody's chopping down any oak in local to me, let me know. I'm gonna come grab some oak from you.
Where's
some
local to
branches.
you, Red? You got to say that.
Ann Arbor, Michigan area. I'm willing to drive. You know, in maybe March I'll have a trailer, so I'll be willing to drive.
There
Pick
you
it up.
go. The temperature in Michigan is 9 degrees right now.
9
Oh,
degrees. That's what I
you
got.
beat. I got 8. I got you beat. Jackson.
That's what Painted Lady said too.
Cold.
Yeah, it's cold right now.
Just roll
That's
it
not
up.
even
Gorilla
the wind.
Glue.
Let 'em
It's
figure
not
in
gonna
the
last,
wind. Probably
guys.
like
We're gonna be coming out of
winter.
this. It's gonna be warm real soon, and we're gonna be thinking, "Oh shit, we should have planted I can't speak right now. We should have planted seeds 3 weeks ago. We're gonna be there. So
Not me. I'm
it's
just gonna
that
put
time.
autoflowers in.
It's about that time. It's the end
What
of
about
January.
autoflowers?
If you think
Oh,
about it,
I'm
man.
not
Just
gonna be
about.
worried. I'm just growing autoflowers outdoor. I'll throw them
Okay.
in July.
Next 2 weeks are gonna fly by, and then it's February.
So on an autoflower, are you popping them indoors? Are you starting them outside? Do you have a certain date that you do if you're trying to get like a double run or anything? Or is it just fuck
Nah,
it?
I'll just throw them outside in June. Just put them in a pot outside. In the ground like I did last year. But hopefully there'll be autoflowers this year.
Say we got
You thought that was Sparkle
Right.
Race auto, didn't you?
Yeah, that fucked me, man. I was not prepared. That's why that year I just let that one go because I wasn't really prepared for it to be a photo, and it was. And it
Cheers
was
for growing.
fucking, and it performed well.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to do the double harvest with the autos, you want to pop them indoors maybe a couple weeks before June. And then,
Or I could just put them out in June. Put them out in June and then wait like probably 3 weeks, maybe 4. I don't know.
Start another cycle.
And then do another set then.
I'd be curious to
Yeah.
entertain. I'd like to entertain the idea of putting like a like even a simple like Amazon or Harbor Freight greenhouse, you know, out there, like just something to kind of cover the ground. I mean, they're so short, right? You could probably do like a caterpillar tunnel or something super cheap. Make your own with bend some PVC or make a little A-frame out of PVC and a little bit of plastic, right? You could
Just
probably source
rebar.
all that stuff. You probably source all that stuff as scrap, you know, from your grow.
You can't really generalize
Hey,
that an
no.
auto is going to be short.
But I can
And then-
still
well, in the beginning, right? I'm only
check-
talking the first couple weeks of its life, you know, and you can probably get it
Till
out
the weather
there.
changes.
You can
Yeah,
get it
check-
out there in like April or May, sure.
Yeah, so check it out. You could just do shout out to my good friend Painted Lady. I'm gonna steal her idea, but she just drove rebar straight down on the ground as anchors and then stretch the PVC, use that to put the PVC on and stretch it across. You could do a low
Put it
tunnel like
over.
that, no problem, and then rip that PVC off in
Just gotta
July.
keep the
or
ground
whatever.
thawed out. Yeah.
But yeah, you could fucking plant probably a month earlier outside that way, and you could extend the season too.
What the fuck was going on in chat?
Never draw attention
Jesus.
to it, rookie.
I do, just because of the absolute fucking stupidity of such shit. It needs to be
Wow.
shamed and fucking
And-
called out.
No, it'll just make it happen more often. If you ignore it, then it doesn't.
Point made.
Is that how that works?
That's an
Yeah.
allowable.
You
That's
give
actually
people attention
an
and then
allowable
they do
name. YouTube puts the hammer on so much, but they allow names of such absurdity.
That PVC hoop house we were talking about is literally, you know, you just use 2 different pieces, 2 sticks of it, and then a coupling in the middle. That way you can take it back apart, put it away safely in the garage, and bust it back out next year if you need it. That's not just for cannabis, that's for anything out there.
I think the big farm move for me this year is a wood chipper, man. I've been looking at them.
What's
I think
that?
I'm gonna go with the old Harbor Freight size. I think, dude, off the top of my
I've
head,
bought those
it's a
fucking things, too.
3-inch. It's like a 3-inch. I feel like it's a 5 horsepower or something like that. I could be way off on these numbers, dude.
Great for grinding up
5
old,
sounds a lot, but
Old
maybe it's
plants
a
and shit.
5.5 or something like that. Yeah. Cannabis stock, leaves, man. I really want to get my just twigs, sticks, all kinds of just yard.
Compost it.
Yeah, all kinds of shit, man. It'll quicken up, it'll speed up my composting. significantly. I tend to dry all of my cannabis leaves before they even come to my compost pile anyways. They go basically into lawn bags while, I'm doing my work. And then, every couple months I haul the lawn bag home. They're usually dry by then. And they go through their system, and like where I store that lawn bag doesn't matter. It's on my shop, it's whatever. And then I take it home and put it in my garden out here. And that material could totally get ran through the wood chipper and all my other, shipping. I can run all my dry vegetables. You don't want to run wet stuff through it. So you want to make sure it's dry first for the most part. But, that's what you do, man, to speed up the decomposition of all of that stuff.
Well, you can do those big sunflowers too at the end of the season and get that shit all there and reclaim all those nutrients and stuff.
Corn too, because right now, all of that stuff I chopped it up about as much as I could with a machete, right? So I got sections,
Do you wear a mask when you do that or not?
Oh, no. I'm half naked out there. Throwing it, just not fully naked.
No.
Be mindful. Be very mindful. Half, not fully. Keep yourself covered up. Lots of swinging parts and blades.
Cover your
Be mindful.
Helicoptering.
That's
Well,
for sure.
well, that's the half that I kept covered up, of course.
Yeah.
I went out there.
He tapes
He was
it back.
wearing full clothing all the way. It was the winter
Coveralls.
practically.
Yeah, throwing me under the bus again. It was practically
Jeez
winter. I was out there
Louise.
probably bundled up in 4 or 5 layers. But yeah, I chopped that stuff up with a machete. But not the
Wow,
beginning.
that's
of
quite the
season.
turnaround.
The story was good,
Half
and then it
naked,
just
You got it's it was working it out there for a minute. So.
goofy.
Yeah, so
And
chop
the
it up.
thing was a shovel.
shovel. Yeah. Now it's a turtle.
ba, 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 ba. Mama Lo says, I want a chipper to try and shred cardboard for my vermicompost. Think it would work.
You hand me that.
I've seen a lot of people soak their cardboard too.
Garbage can. I actually.
But you can get a really good fucking paper shredder that actually does cardboard. They're not that much.
Don't want
money.
to show any.
There's no addresses on the Reddit. It's already been safely shredded. We won't be able to tell anything.
I'm gonna order some.
Probably does have
into
his
it.
address on there.
I know. Watch.
It's written another way.
Yeah, there are 10 of
all
those.
kinds of bank documents and things, but here we go, dude.
Somebody
Yeah,
still framed it and got your address and phone
I've
number
been
off of that.
shredding mail all afternoon and going through some old
If
shit.
you're gonna shred mail, make sure you remove the fucking
That's it.
plastic little address window
No,
off
no,
of your
not
shit
that.
before you
That-
run it through there.
That stuff I toss in the not the compost, the recycling. Yeah, recycling. Same with any like thing that was like a sticker or a sticker back, anything plastic. I don't run that shit through my only paper, right? In hopes that there's going to be enough like enzyme and nothing that's like full ink. None of that cardboard that's full ink either. I don't do that either. Only stuff that's like got a little bit of print on it. If it's got photographs and shit on it, like flyers from whatever, the stuff that's like kind of waxy ink or whatever, that goes in the compost. Or not, I keep saying compost. That goes in the recycling bin. I only do like limited paper as far as the compost goes. Do paper
Beastmod
towel.
has
I
a
don't like
good
doing it because
question.
of bleach, but say that again, Scope. I'm sorry. I was
I
talking.
said Beastmod has a good question. He says, when's the next event you guys are doing? We don't know the answer
That's
to
a
that,
good
but I just
question.
wanted to bring that up because it's like a good vibes thing, man.
Should be a 420 thing, yeah.
Well, likely we'll have usually in June at least, at the very least. Usually in June is when we
Oh,
usually
hash bash, right? In April.
Right?
June we usually do a float. Sometimes the end of June, depending on weather, temperatures.
Oh man. Last
Ooh,
year was
last year it was a little
Birthday
fucking cool.
float.
Last year wasn't too terrible. Last year
Hash
I thought
bash is a good point.
Great.
That might be the nearest event.
I enjoyed the float
Little nipple.
last year more than the year before.
Yes.
The year before was hot as shit.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I would have enjoyed this.
No,
We were on
people-
the
We were
river.
baking on the fucking
Yeah,
open
people-
If
water.
you're hot, you
People
got to
burns
jump in
and
the
shit.
river. Spartan, you should have jumped in the water if you were hot.
We've all
No,
had
no,
like
I
these
didn't get-
random
I
things. We
didn't
all
get
got burned
burned
at
up.
that one. We all got burned at another
Oh.
place. Like fuck.
I'm sorry. I can't relate to that. You
I
guys.
say, yeah, I didn't get burned up. I was just hot as fuck.
Yeah,
Because we were
sorry.
laugh.
I'm sure. It
Tops
was
of my knees got burned up. I'm pasty.
And I mean, this year we had the unicorn got capsized, so that was fucking just the greatest way to end the float
That's
of
a
all.
good way to cap it all off, for sure.
Did you pop it?
No. Remember, he was all still tied in, and it like
No, it didn't even tip, dude. He just
got clotheslined off it.
I don't know. Maybe I blinked, but I just 1 minute I saw him on the unicorn. The next minute I saw him in the water, and the unicorn was the exact same position. So I don't know what happened, but he went under. That's all I saw.
It was bad. It was.
I leaned a little far. I lost my sunglasses in the process.
It was the Huron River Monster.
That is at the Argo Cascades.
I'm the only person that got wet.
It was the Argo
We were
Monster.
in tubes. We were in tubes that were in the water.
Yeah, and two.
I accidentally
I'm
got
the only person
really
that
high.
unintentionally got wet.
But then, what was it? Like a month later, whenever Luzerne was, a lost pair of sunglasses came back to you. My mom had found some.
See,
Guess
you're in Ann Arbor though,
True.
so you're kind of okay if you're from out of town, or well, I don't know. I guess it depends. The Ann Arbor Argo River Monster only eats people who shop at like
Wawa?
Whole Foods and Market and stuff like that. So
Oh, it likes some cheese.
all you gotta do is eat a cheeseburger, dude. Just eat some Mickey D's or something. You're good. You're good to go.
I've
You're
eaten a
saying
cheeseburger before.
Are you saying the monster there is bougie, so it'll only
Bougie
eat,
monster.
like,
It
people
can't be a
who eat Whole
vegetarian.
Foods and stuff?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, makes sense.
Very much so.
Beast Mod and Chat's
They
asking
were all good.
if I have any breeding projects going on. Not on purpose. I do have a couple.
Eric.
I have two. That's the same
Michigan
thing.
jokes.
Gerald, that's funny. I do have a couple of the Russell going, which are two that Baked Pone bought the strain for me for Christmas. Shout out to him. But I've got two of those going, and if I get a male out of that, I will use that in to hit that against my Bliss number 3 that I have, and see what comes out of that.
What's the cross on that anyway?
On which one?
The Russell.
The Russell is they're both back crosses, but it's Jack Herrera and Chem Dog.
Dude, I love both of those.
Yeah. So
Shout out to people that know what the real Jag hair is, man. Back in the day. Whew.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic cross. Is the male on that the Chem or the Jack?
I don't know.
Does it go female first, male second?
I think they usually say the male first.
But
And
that's just assuming that they follow those unwritten guidelines that, you know.
yeah. And if my memory's even right.
I always feel like I see the
Jack
whole list that's the same is always on the right side.
Jack has a lot of CBD
Male.
in it, doesn't
I think
it?
it was listed Jack first and then Chem, if I remember right. But they're both back crosses.
It's probably breeder specific. Every breeder's probably different with that.
They're both like Jack Herrera BX times Chem Dog BX. So whatever that is, it's still, I imagine
So
similar.
so they're each
Yeah.
BX means that they're
So
self.
Yeah, so what I'm
Self.
saying is they had the cuts of each one, and then they had to self them both, I guess.
But that gives me hope, though, too, at the same time, because they already did a selection on those. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, these are the ones that we want to use. So you hope that those would be good representations of each breed. And then, roll of the genetic dice to see if you find something that's either a great amalgamation of those two strains or something that's a standout of either one.
Jack is well known for THCV, I think, and that's something that someone was talking about in the chat earlier today.
Well, THCV was really garnering interest a while ago, and I'm not sure where it stands. I haven't been reading up on it, but it was really exciting for people that were dealing with PTSD. So
Something with appetite.
yes, as an appetite stimulant as well for people that
suppressant.
Yes,
It's the weed Adderall
Adderall.
for housewives.
Yeah, Becca's
Mother's
right.
Little Helper.
It's an appetite. Well, it was
The Rolling
studied.
Stone.
It was studied as an appetite suppressant, and it's also studied as a sugar reducer. I
Blood
think
sugar.
blood sugar reducer
Could help a diabetic.
Yes, in theory.
Interesting.
Usually, when it's something like that, it's going to be for somebody with type 2 diabetes, so they can.
One is juvenile, right?
Yeah,
Type
so the
1.
version where your diet and exercise, your well-being is going to help you not have that condition. Whereas type 1 is where it's autoimmune. So, it could help, sure, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah. Type 2 is more related to diet. Type 1 is more related to
Is an autoimmune disease.
is autoimmune disease.
That's what I have. Type 1.
That's the one that you're born with, right?
No, I developed it later on. But it's like in my DNA
There you go.
that it was there.
They think hers came from a bronchitis infection.
I thought you were going to
Something
say too many
triggered it.
cheaters
Alien
or
abduction.
Mountain Dew or something.
No,
No.
I'm not gonna go that far off.
No, that's the type 2, too much cola.
Yeah, the cola thing would be type 2. Or like the experiences that I would tend to go through when I quit drinking Red Bull and things like that, getting dizzy or passing out anytime I take something like, hyperglycemia, and a lot of that stuff is usually related to diet, changing your diet.
Georgia win?
The difference is
Yeah.
with type 2, your body is insulin resistant. So it can still use the insulin that you have and that you're producing. It's a hormone. But it's just not receiving it as well because of your diet, or it's in your family, so you're more likely to get it. Whereas like I don't create any insulin at all, so
Like-
I have to give myself that.
Type 1 basically attacked your pancreas, right?
Yes.
Your pancreas doesn't
Yeah.
work in that respect.
Yeah.
Her pancreas doesn't produce insulin, basically, in that respect, which you need to lower your sugar levels when you eat carbohydrates. So your options are eat fewer carbohydrates or eat fiber to counteract
Nobody
your
wants to do that.
carbohydrates. Exactly.
Well, I got a
Just
late sesh question for you. Is like, what did they do about diabetes pre-insulin days?
Ooh.
Like in the
Is well.
There are food. So we've been kind of
Going
going
to a
back and
diabetic
forth on
coma?
a lot of stuff to try to figure this out. We feel like, yeah,
Pretty
like,
much it would just take it would take a while, but when you aren't giving yourself any insulin and you have so much sugar in your system, it's in your blood, it's coming out in your urine, it's just too much sugar, your body can't unlock it to use it.
Term sweet pea a whole new meaning.
So yeah. Oh yeah. And
So-
it's not pleasant.
so
It
I've been
feels
trying
really
to-
bad.
I've been trying to like study this a little bit from all the information from her and the things I know about plants and whatnot, and things I know about. I'm not a pharmacist, but I
the
understand.
things you know about urine.
I understand pharmaceuticals and and I understand urine.
Hope you didn't taste it, man.
Urinalysis. No, it smells too ripe to taste. I'm not gonna taste.
That's the old
It's sterile, it's fine.
drinking the
I'm
reindeer
actually
piss
no,
shit,
like
trying to trip
I'm
and
too worried about my own like sugar levels. If I even attempted to touch her insulin, I feel like it would be counteract something going on in my body. So I would, she'll like I can smell it, and I'm like, oh no, is it gonna like affect me?
no.
He's like, he's like afraid of it like leaching onto his skin and then like drugs.
Now
like,
it's a late sesh.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Always
Get in me.
afraid.
It's gonna crawl.
I have to
inside
like
my skin.
clear the needle with the insulin before I give myself some insulin with the needle, right? So I have to push a little bit through. And
Go squirt
one time
across
it
the
like
room.
got on him and he freaked out.
So
Do you have a high pitched squeal or a scream?
yeah,
Like a full fledged scream. Like jump on
more
top
of
of
a-
the kitchen
more
chair
of
and
a-
stamp your
more
feet
of a
because there's a mouse in the
squeal.
kitchen
It's a
scream.
squeal into a screeching scream.
Oh,
And Red would be panicked too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
you
fucking
know.
screech owl.
dippy
man.
That's worse than
toes.
a baby on a plane.
Yeah.
Worse than a baby on a plane.
Worse than a baby with
Ugh.
snakes on a plane.
But if it's leaking
Dude.
out of the plane, he'll go ahead and lick it and be all right.
I guess.
Noise
dude.
canceling
Yeah.
headphones.
Yeah.
It's fucking 2022, man. Get some.
So in a little bit of the hey, I finally got some. It's amazing that
It works
they
for
have
Becca,
like
too.
they have that feature where you can actually hear what's going on, almost like they have they have a microphone on them as well. It's fucking bizarre, dude. New headphones are super. Well, they have two microphones, I suppose. They have a microphone. You know, you can talk to in the bottom. They have a
I
microphone.
lost mine. I'm so sad. Can't
She
find
lost
it.
hers.
AirPods.
I was searching up like food. So I looked into like what is insulin, you know, and apparently like it can come from inulin. All right, it comes from inulin.
Maybe terpene.
No,
Sounds
well,
like it doesn't. It
well,
doesn't sound like it could be a terpene.
well,
like ooh,
well,
bougie.
it is derived from nature, right? So in a sense, I'm sure that they're synthetically creating it somehow, some way.
Insulin?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's synthetic.
So but in nature, it would be derived from inulin.
But insulin is a hormone, so it's a little different.
So there's a lot of work to be done. But I'm trying to figure this thing out because there are foods that contain inulin, specifically like leafy greens and fruits. What are some other? We came across some other stuff that contained inulin. I can't think of it off the top of my head. We've got some stuff written down, but there's also fiber counteracts carbohydrates. And some others. So my focus is like, you know, supply chain shortage, things like that, you know, cost, healthcare failure, things like that, you know, like just future, preparing for the future, whatever we might have to, you know, prepare for. So like,
have you noticed just cannabis?
how would
Have you
be
noticed
able
that? Like cannabis affecting, because I've heard
well, that's where
cannabis will help
THCV. That's
regulate-
what we're talking
yeah.
about. That's THCV kind of came into this, and like we work with RSO a lot, you know, and some other things, and so like
that's why I was saying that those things that they're saying about it helping with blood sugar, that's going to be people with type 2 whose body, you know, can do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so that's where like it might be helpful for my overall body, but I'm not going to see it in that same way.
right, just because your body's not going to be
right now. Type 1's irreversible, basically. There's really nothing you can do to jumpstart your pancreas,
unless you get a new pancreas.
Yeah. So until that gets figured out, I'm trying to figure out the way that you can decrease carbohydrates, increase the chances of counteracting carbohydrates with other natural foods, and then as well utilizing some natural source of insulin to help that or act as that hormone or whatever it needs to do.
And on the opposite side of that, and I would on the opposite side of that, as far as looking at and the conventional treatments, where I would be looking at stem cell treatments and where they can maybe inject your pancreas with some stem cells.
They're
function back.
They're doing so much research. The thing is, like, insulin is sometimes $600 a vial, and so big pharma rules the flipping world. And so if they don't need insulin anymore, that's the issue. That's money. So that's where, like, I'm not seeing. That's why I don't think anyone's seeing any type of cure, you know, or better treatment other than insulin. Which, you know, people like to say that it's as cheap as water, but it's like $600 a vial. It's ridiculous. And so it's like trying to figure out a way to need less of it, right? So that you can extend how long you have it for.
It lasts for a while as long as it's refrigerated. But I mean, you're not supposed to backstock pharmaceuticals, so you're limited. You know, the only option is to attempt to create your own. Like, that's the only option, you know. Or I don't know. I guess you really have to have healthcare and be able to afford that type of stuff, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of different things. Super expensive. Like, without insurance, like, luckily I'm lucky to have insurance right now, and you know, people who don't have insurance, they use expired insulin. They buy insulin off of people, you know, other people.
Black market insulin.
It is
black market insulin, sure.
Crazy. I've seen a lot of it.
Life-saving medicine, you know, literally necessary medicine for people with type 1. and type 2 as well. Anybody with diabetes, for whoever.
Type
just
2
needs it.
eventually turns into type 1. If you don't do anything about it, if you don't exercise, that's why those people have to take insulin. They take an all-day one to kind of keep their sugar down all day. They don't have to.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Stony says 8 grams of sugar in a box of saltine crackers. Frosted Flakes has the same. What the fuck is sugar doing in a cracker?
Yeah, no shit, dude. That's a salty snack, man. Who would have thought that there's that much sugar in salty?
I'm pretty sure you want to add like a 2 or 3 in front of the 8 for Frosted Flakes, though.
800 grams of
Frosted
sugar in
Flakes
a box.
There's more than 8
Frosted.
grams of sugar. in
Comparing
Frosted Flakes.
a box of saltines to like a cup of Frosted Flakes.
A cup of Frosted Flakes.
What's a serving size, right? That's the old game.
8 grams and 1 flake. Those
Fuck.
things are fucking
Right.
Dude, what's the most
delicious.
sweet, tooth-jangling cereal you can think of? Like the, oh shit, I couldn't even eat that if I wanted to sweet.
Probably
I'm not
Frosted
sure, but-
Flakes, man. That stuff is like, that's a rough one for me.
Frosted Flakes is awesome.
I used to eat it as a kid, but now I
Cocoa
can't
Puffs
get into
are
a
pretty
bowl
rich.
of
Have
that.
you had
Okay.
the chocolate flakes, Spartan?
I like the chocolate though. I can
Yes,
Like
I've had
cocoa
Flakes
crisps.
with chocolate milk, which is really good.
Oh shit! I haven't gone that far.
Fruity Pebbles are
I
like
mean, who would
pretty
do
nice.
that?
The crazy one to me is Nutella has more sugar per like tablespoon than frosting.
Yeah, Nutella's
Wow.
no good for
Yeah,
you.
that's
See, I'm a Nutella.
I like sweet things,
Nutella.
but that's one thing I've never even eaten. I've never tried it.
Did we do this
No-
comparison yet?
What is
about
Nutella?
Yeah,
Nutella
What
or
is it?
Nutella? I like Nutella.
What is it?
Sequences and
It's this
Nutella.
pronunciation debate.
It's a chocolate spread, right? Basically.
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut.
There you
It's
go.
No,
super weird.
It's sugar
Ugh,
sprinkled hazelnut.
I don't like
What?
hazelnut.
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut
Like 50%
frappes.
palm oil.
I used to eat it by the spoonful. I swear, I love
I
that
don't like
stuff.
hazelnut.
Yeah.
I don't like hazelnut in my coffee.
Big glob of it on my couch, and he would just sit there and stare at me and eat it like a fucking.
I used to use it if my blood
Nightmare.
sugar was low. If my sugar was low, I would use it and like just have a spoonful of it.
Wow.
Just be by my bed. So bad.
I do have some in my cabinet.
Here's a coincidental one. We were talking one night because she usually will take like a juice box or something like that. Like anytime we go anywhere, just in case she has a sugar drop, or she needs to boost her sugar, which is necessary also. And she needs about 17. Was it 17? 15 grams of sugar. In these instances of this drop,
Or more.
or 15 or more, and she needs it to kind of occur kind of quickly, so almost like a active source of sugar. So usually like a juice box or something, apple
Fruit
juice,
snack,
fruit snack, candy. So I was looking up honey, and it turns out that a tablespoon of honey has exactly 17 grams of sugar in it.
It's a lot.
Available sugar. It's a ton, dude. It's a ton of sugar. Holy shit! In a tablespoon. I eat honey
So
by
think
the
how much you
tablespoon
put
all
in
the
your
time.
tea when you make your tea. How much are you putting in there?
No, that's a shit.
Yeah, but it's a natural sugar, though.
You can say a carbohydrate is a carbohydrate, but yes, it would be considered like a like at least it's gonna have different properties in it that are better for you if you are to consume that much sugar. Okay.
Yeah.
It does work. And
You
it
can't
works.
say you can't necessarily say it's like better sugar, but it works. Yeah, it works as far as like bringing up her blood. She was having
For sure.
Sequence with the fact
thing
checking
yesterday, and she was like, you might need to run to the store and grab me a Sprite or something. I'm not feeling well. So I was down in the caf at work, and I'm looking around. I'm like, well, there's some honey here. So I'm like, hey, come check out the honey,
Oh,
see if it
it
might
was
work.
old honey. It was
It was
not.
pretty rough, but I was like,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
go to the store. I'll go
Do
to
you
the
just
store.
not have sugar?
And
You
she's
don't
like,
just have sugar.
well, that was it. She didn't have a juice box or anything. I was
I'm
going to go to
saying
the store.
straight sugar is what I'm saying. Like, does straight
not-
sugar not work?
Well, again,
I've never tried it.
again, if you were that's the thing. A carbohydrate is a carbohydrate, so yes, and it would work.
You want what's gonna get through into your blood sugar.
You're talking
the
about something
fastest.
that's processed and bleached for something that came out of a bee's butt, and got nicely
Well, that's why I like.
created.
Sugar
for
came
us.
out of a beet's butt, right?
Or a
Apple
beet's
One came
butt,
out of a bee,
yeah.
one came out of a beet.
it's better, right? There, for a lot of reasons, it's just less probably of a carbon footprint. There's just the honey is just like a better source of what you would need on a regular basis to control that
Stupid
issue.
question. Could
Because
you
it
use
works.
stevia?
It's 17 per tablespoon. Say that again, Scopo.
No,
Could you use stevia?
no,
No.
it doesn't have
It's
carbohydrates.
not fast enough. Yeah.
No, it does
Oh,
not
it
have
does.
any carbohydrates or sugar.
Yeah, it's no sugar. It's
You know
it's
what
like
you
a
could use
weird,
is
it's a weird
artificial.
old fashioned
weird
grandma's
artificial
Werther's
replacement.
candies.
Yeah.
So what if you're on like a
used to-
keto diet?
It's a natural sweetener, but our body
Yeah.
can't digest
Honestly,
it, I think.
anything that
It's a
is
flavor
candy
replacement.
works.
Stevia is like a flavor replacement, not like actually a
That's why I drink it,
carbohydrate.
because it doesn't have any carbohydrates in it. That's
Yeah, I
why
think it's
I
just
drink
not
Diet
digested.
Coke.
I
You
think
know,
it just passes straight through.
yeah, Diet Coke is terrible
it's
for you.
It's
but
sweet, but there's no carbohydrates. It's completely different. than
I
sugar.
can't drink juice or chocolate milk or anything with
sweet.
sugar like that, because it goes through like that. I have to take insulin right away for it if I'm going to do it. And I can feel it. It does not feel good on my body.
My bones are hurt and shit. So you gotta the pharmaceutical industry is required in that sense, you know, unless we can really find a replacement that we could grow or something like that. Yeah, I'm always trying to figure this stuff out. You know, I don't like taking pills. I don't even like taking over the counter shit. I understand that it's necessary, in a lot of respects. It would be better if it was just people were allowed to, you know, if they needed heavy pharmaceuticals, opioids included, right? I'm not, you know, I think that the fentanyl epidemic is the bad thing. I don't think that the opioids are necessarily the bad or the demon here. I think the maluse is, but like, you know, if people were allowed to extract their own and stuff like that, I think that it would work out better.
Well,
So,
the
you know,
this back to cannabis is like, this is where it's great because you can use cannabis to help you with a lot of different things, not just, you know, hey, I'm in a little bit of pain. Hey, I'm kind of irritated today. Hey, I'm kind of anxious, but you can find a way. And especially those of us that are lucky to be able to cultivate our own, you can really, really dial it in to try to get that wellness that you're looking for.
It definitely helps. My body's always hurting from my blood sugar being higher. It's just going to be elevated because I can't control that. It's going to go up. And so it definitely helps my whole body feel better overall. Very grateful for that.
I'm trying to hold this cough so she can talk.
So for you, I would imagine that probably dabbing is probably the most effective for those kinds of pains, just because you can get that immediate relief probably pretty quick. Or is it more maybe on the edible side, like an RSO or just an edible that kind of lasts longer? Does that help at all?
It honestly all helps.
Nice.
And you know, we'll just do about all of that stuff: edibles, smoking, dabbing.
The only problem I have with edibles is you have to be like very proactive and thinking forward about it. Like, I need to have a certain amount of coverage for this for the day. So if I eat it now, it's going to kick in by this. You know, Spartan has done this a bunch of times. He's like, well, I took the RSO at this time.
She kills two birds with one stone. She makes edible treats with sugar in it so that it
You
can
get the both. Yeah.
raise the blood sugar.
2 minutes to hash time.
I love that. That's awesome. When you can get two benefits out of one thing, that's super cool.
I
But then you gotta be
definitely,
careful, because if you want one or the other.
I try to stick towards the nighttime with edibles because
Me too.
then I'm asleep if they kick in and it's worse, you know. Especially like I'm making so many of them lately, and they're so tasty. So it's better for nighttime. Tonight I made Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, that's one of my
3
favorites.
ingredients.
They're really good.
So when I was a caregiver, one of the things I would do around Christmas is make these gift bags to give out at Christmas with them, and it was all these different like inspired edibles.
Mm-hmm.
And one year, one of the things they always came back and said they really liked a lot was the Rice Krispie treats, but I didn't use Rice Krispies. I grabbed a box of Golden Grams and a box of
Yum yum.
what was the other one?
Golden Grams.
Dude, those are so
They have
good.
like a chocolate. Oh no, not golden grams.
I can't remember the other one. They had 2 different boxes of different types of cereal.
Cinnamon
Toast Crunch.
Yeah,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's exactly what it was.
They look like a golden gram.
And I
Actually,
They have a chocolate cinnamon toast crunch.
So I did a Cinnamon Toast Crunch original and a golden gram mixed half and half, and then did it just like a normal recipe like you would golden grams, and they loved that shit.
Nice. I like to put a little bit of cinnamon in my Rice Krispie treats. I think it makes it taste just like a little bit better.
Yeah, this was fucking fire. Though. I mean,
Delicious.
it had that graham.
I was thinking the same thing.
Gram.
Dude, the cinnamon in her. Yeah, she makes really good cinnamon. Whatever the fuck they call it.
It's just
Rice
when
Krispie treats.
you have it melted, when you
I
have it
think the Rice
melted,
Krispie
put
treats are
cinnamon
kicking
in it. You know, as much or as little as you want.
I was back there
Nice.
Keep mixing it.
I might have to do that.
Yeah.
So
I
what
like
I'm
cinnamon.
looking
I get a thing of cinnamon like huge because I love
Yeah,
it. For everything.
that's really good for blood sugar also. So I add that in.
Oh,
all the
was
time.
that what it was? Cinnamon contains inulin.
It's a very warming
I
herb.
think
So.
cinnamon contains inulin. Maybe that's the one.
I don't know.
I think
So between you guys that are able to make your own RSO, what I'm really looking forward to is the first one of you that finds like the Bliss Bud, Spartan. Let's say that you find the Bliss Bud is just money for you. You cultivate enough that you can do a run of just straight RSO. And I think about that and I'm like, man, I wonder if it would like amplify everything, if it would maybe help people for depression, or if it would be like maybe come on too heavy for you where you got to really be like, well, you know, I usually take a 0.5 and I'm good to go, but with this stuff I can only take like a 0.25.
Yeah, that would be it'd be interesting to see because
I did say it.
it'd be interesting to see because I did test that one time. Abolish had me run a run of his
Sour melon, wasn't it?
sour melon, and he said that the RSO. I mean, I just ran the RSO for him. It was a small run, so it was not even a vial. So I just gave it all to him, but he said it was like almost like crack. He said a soup, like tons of energy from it that he was getting from the RSO, like it had concentrated the effects of the flower. So if that holds true, then what you just said might be, possible.
Northern Grower says, can I use my dry sift for RSO? Absolutely.
Yes, you absolutely can. You could use about anything. So RSO is Rick Simpson made it popular. He drove the knowledge out there, and he risked his neck actually helping people, and he really pushed the knowledge forward. But
It's FICO.
the knowledge was for him, and before it's ancient knowledge. It's herb. It's what.
It's the holy anointing oil.
No, it's what everybody uses when they're practicing herbalism. When you make a tincture, that is pre-RSO. How you make a tincture stronger is you boil off the alcohol. It concentrates it down. Well, if you want to make it as strong as possible, you boil it all off. Well, that's how you make RSO. So, I already lost my train of thought. What the hell were we talking about?
The reality is a lot of people for a very long time, for probably thousands of years, have been making cannabis tinctures. And Rick Simpson just so happened to sort of popularize
His Phoenix Tears recipe was the first video out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the point I was trying to make is that all you take is your plant material. It wasn't like a big deal. You take your plant material, you soak it in alcohol, you strain off your plant material, blah blah blah. You know the process. But so what you've done when you have dry sift is you've removed a lot of that plant material already. So you're going to expose even more of the what you're trying to get to, the trichomes, to the alcohol, which is the solvent, which is we're going to basically melt it into the solvent. So it should turn pretty gold colored when you just drop that in there.
The RSO helped cure his skin
cancer. He was using it topically.
Yep. You just cover it with a Band-Aid and change it every day.
That's what really.
It's like a draw salve at that point. You know what I mean? And it looks just like it. Remember the black shit that you put on to get the slivers out and stuff?
Yep. And he's not the only one that's done that. There's been other people that documented that.
The way to think about it is that the alcohol is being used as the extractor. So all we're using the alcohol is to knock all the good shit off the plant. Yeah. And then we're just trying to get rid of and to be able to isolate what we've been able to knock off and to get rid of the alcohol. And there's a lot of different ways you can just do evaporation or whatever you want. Just time. But the RSO itself, I mean, that's the one thing that I think I'm going to need to start doing, because I'm starting to see more and more pain issues as I've gotten older, as I may need to start doing
You can do
like
the
a
entire
Jack Greenstock
process
/
cold.
Spartan Grown. Let's start like a small dosage in the morning that we can use to function, loosens you up enough to get it done, but not enough to like plow you under.
Yeah,
And then
for
when to
me,
do a maintenance dose on that.
yeah, I call it the background, man. You can just put a little bit in there, and it's the background dose to where you have the slight, tiny bit of feel. It's working, but at any time you can pick up a joint and get to where you need to be at any time.
Let's kick it up.
You know,
What's your kick-in time for that you found for yourself?
Just about 2 hours for
aren't
me.
you talking about holding tinctures in an RSO or something like that? You know, some of the original practice, well, I mean, like, you know, natural practices for making a lot of tinctures and stuff is to not use heat at all. You're
Right,
gonna
that's how I do mine right here.
Yeah, you're going to contain more of your properties by not using any heat.
You're gonna keep most of your cannabinoids in the acidic
Right
form.
there.
And all the botanicals. It might take 6 weeks. You know what I mean? For alcohol, it might take even longer if you're trying to evaporate all the alcohol out. But like you want to let it sit
shit, man.
for 6 weeks and absorb. In that time, it'll decarboxylate, even at room temperature. You know, and then you want to like let it evaporate. You know, you're not going to reclaim any of it, but you would just want to let it evaporate at room temperature. And it might take a few days or weeks extra.
You can put a little fan.
But,
They put it in a big
Yeah.
flat dish, so it's got a big lot of surface area, and put a fan over it, and then
So,
it'll evaporate out.
I just added this to my
Evaporate.
coffee. This is one of the ways that I have medicated with cannabis the most. Is I would add 2 eyedroppers full to my morning coffee before I would go to work. And I would find that it served a couple of things, you know what I mean? It was like an anti-inflammatory, and it was kind of like taking a quarter Xanax, because it like push you back enough where you're like focused on what you're doing, but not scattery about it.
I remember when you told me to do that one time, and that is the worst tasting shit I've ever had.
I was just
Okay, now that's
Is it
true.
Everclear, Skilbo? Is it
Was
like
it successful?
raw? Is it like pure Everclear?
It
Pure
looks
don't
like
remember.
Everclear and ass.
Oh man, that's rough.
What that
another-
was.
Brutal.
Microdosing
So
Everclear.
Skilbo, if you're going to keep it in a tincture, you know, to eat like that, it's
Yes.
such a volume. If you're not going to reduce it, alcohol is good because it reduces quickly and like
Right.
it's volatile. I'd use an oil if I were you. If you're just going to eat it like that, I would just use a oil, you know, and that way you can take it sublingually. You can let it.
I'm
sit
saying
under
that
your
this
tongue.
is the way I've medicated with cannabis since I've had my card. This is the number one way that I did it. I ended up getting a magic butter machine like in 2013 or 2014. I can't remember. And that's all I wanted to do, was to be able to make tincture, because I was like, somebody that I knew used to make it, and it really, really worked for me.
Yeah.
So then I was just hooked on it. And I said, well, fuck, I can just make this myself. I'll take all this larfy bullshit, because I'm not that good of a grower. So I really only get like about this much of a good harvest, and the rest of it's like, eh. So what I would do is all these old jars that I have, I take those, the oldest ones, always get dumped into like the Snickle Fritz jar. And the Snickle Fritz jar is like whatever the dregs are of this thing by the time I need that jar to fill with, you know, more plants.
No.
So then the oldest shit is what I would use to make my tincture, thinking that this is the stuff that is probably, you know, if anything has had time to decarboxylate naturally, this has. Maybe I'm able to express some more CBNs, which is what I'm looking for to help me with pain. So that's why I always did a cold run on my shit, and I got rid of the magic butter machine, because in the beginning I was doing it as if I wanted to be
and you're doing a
psychoactive, where
cold run?
I was decarbing it, and I was running it through this machine with a low temperature of like 130. Well, fuck, man. I mean, it's definitely decarbed and psychoactive, but what I wanted was to retain that THCA, because when I was doing my readings, THCA was supposed to be like the best thing for inflammation. So I was like, well, fuck, I'm not going to do any of that anymore. So what I do is,
oil.
I mean, in the past, I have taken, I'll just do it right here. I'll take this jar right here. Okay. This is a gallon jar, and this is filled to the top. This has got Leica in it right now. Shout out to old man Hermit Hash. So what I would do is I would add as much alcohol as it would take to cover all of this. Okay. So I'm using 190 proof. So to do this would probably take like a bottle and a half. So 750 times 325. You can do the math. let it soak for a week. And then after a week, and I'm just putting in the dark. I don't fuck with it. I don't put it in the freezer. I don't shake it. I may move it a little bit to make sure that everything is covered. And then I'm going to run that through. And it's called a nut milk bag. If you look them up on Amazon, they're fantastic for this. You can also use a coffee filter at the end to give even more of the particulate matter out. And that's it. Then I just put them in an amber bottle, like so. And, keep it stored out of the dark, and it lasts for years. And if at any point, let's say I have a whole bunch of that and I want to just turn that into RSO, well, fuck, I'm already right there. All I've got to do is pour the contents of these bottles, because I have way larger ones. I have like 32-ounce amber bottles that I use for storage. I could just as easily pour that into, a flat, like say a 9x9 dish or something like that, and put that on a hot plate, float it and just let it naturally go. Keep an eye on it, and I could make it that way too.
Just remember, that shit is very flammable.
It is very flammable, yes. Well, I assume
you don't want to inhale the vapors either if you're heating it on any kind of a surface, or if you're just letting it sit there, you still wouldn't inhale the vapors, but it's not harmful. It's not harmful at all.
Shout out to Jebbies over on Twitch. He says, yes, magic butter green dragon tincture. Yeah. And I looked into all kinds of different things on tincturing, and it led me to wanting to make other things into tinctures that I could use to help me. You know what I mean? So it comes back to, I'm not talking about the woo. I'm talking about like, hey, these plants have been shown to help reduce inflammation. For me, if I can reduce inflammation, I can reduce pain. And at the end of the day, that's all I want to do, is to turn that knob from like a 7 down to like a 5. And if I can get it to a 4 or 3, it's even better. But I got to stay functional so that I can live my life without just being blown out on RSO all the time, because I could really easily do that.
I think that's when I'd do a CBD tincture then, and then pair that with.
That's what I haven't done.
Then you could just modulate the THC with the CBD, and CBD also brings anti-inflammatory.
You could have some of that.
I'm so glad we're friends.
Stuff you're gonna make for your dog with the CBD.
Yes.
Yeah, Scobo, if you're not doing CBD, man, you're missing out on the entire CB2 receptor. You're only doing CB1.
Right.
You gotta do CB2's all of everything else. CB1's like might be your central nervous system, right? Your spine, a lot of your nerves and things.
Yeah, I don't nearly get the zaps that I used to.
CB2's your muscles, so a lot of your pain, a lot of your muscle aches and even your bones. It works in your bones and all your peripheral, right? All your organs. Your organs are your peripheral, dude. You know what I mean?
Those sound kind of like on the main line thing. We got to take care of those ones. So let's talk about this. So if I did like a 1-to-1, that's cool. But then there's some people that report like, oh man, I had this 20-to-1 that was just money for me, or just the weird ratios.
That's why you make them both separately, and then you can make the ratios all day long. That way you don't have to chase strains. Yeah. So you could do, your Happy Buds or whatever CBD to, hemp to make your CBD tincture, make a, good supply of that, and then do the same thing that you already do on your THC, and then you can mix with the ratios however you like.
Exactly. See, I've been doing something just automatic for years and not really thinking about it because I've already thought about it. But this is where talking to other people can really, really be beneficial, because they can just point out a completely different thing that I'm missing. So cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. That's the best part of this shit.
Well, everything works differently for everybody. So that works for you, Scobo, and that's cool.
Yeah, because I have to admit, I don't enjoy smoking the hemp CBD bud. I don't know. It's not enjoyable to me.
That's why I think concentration on it is the best way to go. That's why when I had
just get it over with, baby.
That's when I made it. I made a little fucking vial RSO, and so I don't have to. I can put that in a little capsule and be done with it.
Right on.
And I guess if anybody wants a tincture that is alcohol sensitive,
well, you could substitute that, and you could say
that's
you could
what
do
I was
glycerin,
saying. You could do, or safflower oil would probably be a good one.
The only thing, dude, I read something so many years ago in one of these stupid ebooks on cannabis. There was a chart and I wish I knew what it was, but it showed like 100 percentile in a bar graph. And on this line, it showed, alcohol is able to extract, and don't kill me with these numbers, but I'm going to give you an example. If alcohol will extract 80% of it, then you could use the next thing that extracts better than that or less than that would be like the MCT oil. Okay, let's say that gives you like 40% of the return of what you could get off of it. And then below that is going to be like regular coconut oil. And below that is going to be butter. And below that is going to be some form of vegetable oil that we're trying to pull it into. And it's not that they don't work. The thing for me was to realize that, let's talk about, there's 20% THC. Reg, you're my math guy on this. Mm-hmm. So if I can get 80% of that with alcohol, we can do the math. And if I use this other thing as my extractor, then I'm going to only get 60%. And then if I use this other thing, so I'm always thinking about, I don't want to leave shit behind. I want to get the most out of it that I can. And that's why I tend to use alcohol rather than glycerin. Though if I was a caregiver and I had a patient, they were like, Skilbo, I love this shit, man, but you're killing me. I can't deal with the burn. So then I would think about doing probably, like I said, the MCT oil, which is just floating that in a bowl with the hemp together and putting in a double boiler on your crock pot on high for 24 hours. Yep.
I wonder if you could even drop your tincture into the MCT oil and let it boil out.
Ooh, I don't know.
Boil out of it.
You'd have to find the boiling points of everything, but yeah.
173. 173. Baba Ram Bud says ethanol boiling point is 173.1. And that's why you want to use like a candy thermometer for that shit.
I bet MCT can get higher than that.
Most.
Probably, what do you think, 300?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go take it up to like 200, 220 or something. Like
There's different delivery methods too. Like I find that when I make, I haven't made cookies in forever. I should. When I make my cookies, I feel like they hit me way stronger. Even though when I take them and get tested, they test lower than what the feeling is that you get from them. They test often around 100. Around 100 milligrams, but they feel like 150. It doesn't feel like anything near the 100 milligrams that I get at a dispensary or anything like that.
So what do you suspect?
I think I do a hell of a lot better process on it.
I think I make a better cookie, my friend.
I don't know, man. It's like I don't.
I think there's a big difference in stuff at the dispensary. Maybe not.
It's just all distillate.
Yeah, maybe not like in the caregiver model like a while ago, but like today, I'd say most of the gummies are just distillate. I'd say a big reason of that is just because of the availability of distillate is probably so high. But a distillate is just THC. It's basically THC isolate. It's just, but it's distilled THC, and it's basically only THC. So you're not getting that synergy. You're not getting that full plant synergy. if you cook stuff down with cannabis leaves and buds and flowers and sticks and stems, and God forbid there's a seed in there that you wasted or something, but like you're getting full plant medicine with all of that, and there's going to be that synergy. There's going to be other cannabinoids that are responding on your receptors, man. THC just happens to be one of the few cannabinoids that we've been studying only since 60s, man. Dr. Meshulam only discovered THC back in like the late 60s, This thing's not even a century old.
Okay.
As far as research goes. So like there's thousands of cannabinoids at play here. And in the dispensary gummies are just distillate. They're one cannabinoid, and that's it. Your edibles have probably potentially thousands of cannabinoids at play, giving you a much better effect, much more potent.
So I have a question, Spartan, that I know we've never covered before, which is when you first thought about getting into making your own oil, did you try somebody else's first? Did you read about it? Did you just go, oh my God, I already know what I should be doing with this shit?
Yeah, I read about it. I saw a video about Rick Simpson, and I went to his website, phoenixtears.ca, which stands for Canada.
Mike's cutting out again.
A little bit.
little
Shit.
bit.
You're good.
I don't know what
Go
else
ahead.
to do with it.
Go ahead. It was fine until just now. That's weird.
And so I read on that website the process, and I just did it with a double boiler. It wasn't the safest, but I did it because I was trying to save my uncle his life from cancer. And then I can't remember how I found out about the Extract Craft Source Turbo, but I got that, and I did that for ages. And I cringed just thinking about doing all that because it was just so tedious. But now that I got the other units way better, long story short, I'm not thrilled with their customer service, but I did get through to them, and I'm getting a new lid. It's supposed to be here Thursday. I had
Right on.
$200 and some for it, but I guess it's an improved version, and it should solve my issues. So if it does, I'll be happy.
Good.
I can't complain if that's the case. But yeah, it was. I just had to. I'm one of those. I'm stubborn, man. If I think there's a chance I can do it, I'm gonna fucking do it myself. I'm not gonna ask for help. I'm because, especially at that time, it was way more. I was working at another job where there was not cannabis friendly, so it was way more in the dark kind of thing. So of course, I wasn't gonna like advertise it or anything. So I was just gonna see what I could get away with at home, see if I could get any results first that way, and I did. Then I invested the money into the machine that would do it better.
One thing I like is that I'm lucky enough that I've gotten the oil from you, and then I've had Red's oil and also Old Man's. And all three of you use almost the same product. Old Man is using your old unit, which is just a smaller one, right? Is that there's like the craft to that as well? That there is definite differences, and not just like the color of it. Sometimes like Old Man's is sometimes really red. You know, yours is always dark. Red's is like the easiest one to dose for me because it's just like whoop, super easy. But it's how much that, like, just because you get these tools, you still have to like work with it to find out the way you want to have your end product be for yourself or your patients or whatever.
Yep, for sure. And there's all kinds of tweaking and upgrades you can do, and
there's like a different vacuum thing you can get, isn't there? Like one that's oil or some shit.
You can get really expensive into it, and man, I would love to learn. But yeah, it's not in my cards right now. But
the unit itself is crazy expensive.
Well, I'm kind of the guy that likes to kind of poke around and see if I can just learn on my own without having to pay a big fucking entry fee, right? And I found that I could actually go to these lab supply places, and they have trainings on their equipment. So I figure, hell, I could get a training, and then I'd learn how to run the fucking equipment that I need, because I don't even know the equipment I need. And that would fucking help me at least know the equipment that I needed. But then there's a pretty hefty fee for even the training. So I'm not saying I won't do it, but there's other things that I got to do before that.
There's leveling up, and then there's all the steps in between.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have like the actual lab equipment, so I wouldn't have to fuck around worrying about a fucking machine that I don't understand. So if I could understand the machinery, then I could replace the parts easily with lab equipment.
Yeah, I think what we have is a solid machine, man. It works with a decent amount of alcohol. I mean, if you keep your batch small, your control is a lot easier. Your quality control is a lot easier.
When it works, I like it. Yeah.
It works.
When it fucking tries to
yeah. Your seal's busted. Yeah. I'd say that's a disadvantage of the product for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd go much bigger than what it is. I mean, you can make a shit ton off of one small batch and keep rolling with it. At least at the small scale, it keeps quality a lot more narrow, which I like, or quality control a lot more narrow. And like, I think it's a solid unit I mean, the amount of alcohol that I reclaimed back was damn near 100%. It's really cool that it's still.
That's where it pays for itself.
And alcohol seems to be one of the better solvents for pulling like full spectrum.
Yeah, I agree with all those things, but if I can increase my production so that I can go around and hand 5 grams out to people instead of 1 gram out to people,
Yeah.
that just makes me happier. And that's just I spend a lot of time doing that shit. So if I could spend less time and get more product, that's more time for me to do other things.
I don't think it would evaporate much faster though. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna evaporate.
Yeah, but I would babysit it and work it. See what I mean? I could put all one batch in and walk away.
So you can't just do that now? You can't just walk away from it?
I can, but it's going to stop after a while. And it won't, it'll have, then I'll have to finish it after that.
And then when you say that, you're talking about that's where you draw it out and then try to reduce it some more on like the coffee warmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so if I had a bigger capacity or lab capacity, I could run that unit and the lab. You know what I mean?
That hold a gallon to start? A gallon of your
No,
liquids?
I mean, yeah. Well, yes, and no. The crucible, yes, will hold a gallon, but the recovery tank will only hold half a gallon, and then you have to there's nothing stops it.
Can you put a
when
tea
it gets
fitting in or
full.
something?
Nothing stops it when it gets full, but what you can do is try to get a gallon. If you can find a gallon glass jar that will fit that lid, that would work. But they give you a half gallon.
The gallon glass jar.
They give you a half gallon glass jar with it.
I shut mine down at that point when it filled up, and I end up because it's got a standard vacuum. So if you pull that jar off, it'll fuck up. So you got to shut it down, disconnect your jar, store it, and then just hook up another jar and turn it back on. It takes a few minutes to get started running because it's got to pull a vacuum anyways. But
that kind of sucks.
You got to be there to do that part, and or add more alcohol if you're.
Well, no, that's just like an engineering thing.
No,
you know what I mean?
That's a huge quantity. Like Red said, that's a huge quantity. I mean, even that is a huge quantity.
It's a big quantity of. I mean, I pulled 50 grams out of my batch
of oil. Okay.
Off of a gallon, I think I started with. I think I started with 32.
Oh, we're mixing our measuring things now. We don't know what any of that is.
I think I started with a gallon of alcohol.
Okay.
That two.
So if you do a run on a gallon,
so he reduced his tincture from a gallon to 50 grams.
50 grams.
Okay.
Yep.
Dude, 190 is not cheap.
No, but I got most of it back.
How come you can't get 190 in Canada?
You can't get it in Michigan either.
No, you got to get it in Indiana.
Well, I know, but like, why is that? Like, why can't they get it in Canada at all?
I have no idea.
Probably because they deal with state stores in the first place.
They may have different alcohol laws.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
If I couldn't get 190 easily, or it wasn't too hard for me to get, I would just get what I could get in the buy distiller. Just get a tabletop distiller, distill it down to 190, and then you're good to go. It's just going to take one extra step. It's a pain in the ass, but
well, I mean, you could, in theory, use some tequila or use some vodka or something.
Red, what's that shit we used with the train?
What's that?
Or is it diesel? What's that
diesel?
called?
Oh yeah, I've used diesel, but it's the same molecule as one. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's just a different brand name. You know, it's the same molecular formula as Everclear. Maybe Everclear's filtered better. Michigan, but either way, they're 190 proof. So
in Michigan, you'll find Everclear, but it's like 151 or 153. So Everclear, it's not the one.
There's diesel. There's I've had a few different, but I've gotten them all out of state, so I don't know. I don't know what. I know you can get Everclear in Michigan, but it's like much. It's like 151 proof, I think, is what we max out here in Michigan.
You can check your lab supply companies. They might have ethanol you can use.
Now, I there's an argument about ISO.
ISO, chat was saying that, and I said I'd stay away from ISO.
And I would too, I guess, depending on where you absolutely know where the ISO specifically, not the ISO alcohol, the actual ISO that they use in the ISO. Yes, ISO can't. I've looked this up. I've looked up MSDS sheets. I've looked up vaporization points, all kinds of shit of ISO, because I was looking at some arguments. ISO can be safe to a point, if it's all completely purged out. The problem with ISO and using it in ISO alcohol is not the ISO itself, it's the equipment that's used to manufacture the ISO. If the equipment was also used to manufacture other petroleum products or anything like that, then those debris get in the ISO as well as the alcohol. And now you're not only just dealing with condensed concentrated forms of ISO, you're dealing with concentrated forms of whatever else was on the machinery used to manufacture the ISO. So that's the issue. Not 100% it being is ice, because you get arguments all day long. ISO is okay. You can safely purge it, and I agree with that. The problem is that there's other things that might in the ISO that you couldn't purge out, is what I've seen the actual argument being. Now, I'm not a scientist or a chemist, so I can't confirm this, but I also can't deny it, and I would rather just be on the safe side and use a food grade form. I don't. Maybe there's bad things in the food grade. Maybe I'm wrong in saying I wouldn't use tequila or vodka to make RSO or like a reduction, but I'd use it to maybe make a tincture. Like if you already consume tequila or vodka or something, you can maybe make a tincture. I wouldn't reduce it. I'd be weary about extracting, or concentrating, the reduction of that. And I also would be weary about reducing ISO. ISO is bad.
It's like Sequence said earlier. He said it's not that, it's what it leaves behind. And that's what you were saying in the beginning is
yeah. There's residuals and whether or not ISO,
so
it's a
and it's
concentration.
Them
Yeah.
into a concentrated form, so it's even worse.
I can tell you one thing. What Sequence cleaned out his bong one time when I came over, right before I came over, and cleaned out the nice, was it the Zong or I don't know, it was one of them, and cleaned it with ISO and didn't get it all out of there, and then packed me a nice fresh bowl, and I took one and hit, and oh my god, I about fucking died, man. It was just all ISO fumes and shit, and I thought I was gonna pass away.
Dude, can you imagine if it
man.
blew flames into your lungs or something like that? That's always my fear. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna blow up my lungs accidentally.
Dude, it was not cute.
All those bong cleaners freak me out because you pour them in there and then
they're very volatile.
I will rinse it with water for so long after.
I do too, Becca.
Just so much.
I use ISO, but I just clean it real good with salt. I use nice coarse kosher salt with the ISO, and I shake it around really, really good, and then I rinse it 1,000 times.
I'll usually I'll wash it with soap after I degrease it with I'll degrease it with soap after I wash it with ISO, and then rinse it a lot after that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I like to use soap at least around the mouth part usually.
Yeah. True that.
Alcohol is great to use. I feel like some of the cleaners are like acetone, so maybe you could just use acetone, but you're gonna pull graphics or anything like that. So and if you do soft glass, we have soft glass. Where the fuck's the soft glass at?
Up there.
Okay, I'll grab it in a second.
The noble
glass pieces that you might see, the orange bong or something past episodes. You don't want to clean that. You don't want to rinse it out with hot water and then fill it up with cold water. Granted, we all I said granted. We all know about hot and cold water will crack glass, but even warm to cold crystal. Even warm to cold will cause that soft glass to
crack.
Yeah, it doesn't just crack, but it becomes incredibly brittle, and it has these micro cracks throughout the entire structure. And you think of tempered glass, and when you crack tempered glass, it blows into a bazillion pieces like that. That's kind of what happens to this over time. If you just continuously warm, cold this thing, it just temper cracks. Oh, I don't know how else to describe it. But that's what it kind of does. And I've seen crazy videos of this stuff just turning to dust. Basically, they'll eventually just fall back to their original composition, just because of the hot and cold. So it's really interesting. Soft glass is really cool stuff, and I love smoking out of it. And I'm incredibly fearful of just destroying it when I do. So I'm really careful with it, which is kind of adds a different experience to the session in itself. You know what I mean? Just trying to be careful with it, but it's a real nice ergonomical piece. I just love soft glass. It's really nice to use. It almost feels softer, you know, like it's, as you're holding it, it's really cool. It's not as rigid, you know, it's got texture.
Hard.
Yeah. I like rigid.
Turgid. I need to learn more about all those kinds of glass and everything. I'm learning more now that Sequence is starting to blow glass and everything. So that's been really cool, learning about all the different. I didn't even know there were different types. Like he was showing me videos from like Corning. Yeah. Like all that kind of stuff. It's just fascinating to watch all that shit be made. Like you would never really think about, like half the time when you buy glasses at the store and you drink out of them all the time, you never really look at them and to think about how they're made. If they're like nice, you know, glasses like that. So I don't know. It's just interesting. And I never really knew that there were different kinds of glass and all that.
Me neither. It's cool that like this that he was showing is glass and stuff, like get all that kind of cool stuff at thrift stores.
Yeah.
It's probably
and people
likely
are just
that
giving it away.
That was made more by hand than something that's made today. Like that's I can't tell whether or not that's commercially made. Okay, I don't know much about that style of glass, but like if you were to go to a box store today and get glassware, there's a good chance that stuff is like poured in a mold, like thousands of glasses at a time. You know what I mean? Rather than it being like one or a 6-pack or something, however they may have done it incredibly small scale whenever this was probably manufactured. You know, maybe this was done if it was more commercial, a larger bit than 6 or 1, you know, something like that. But still, like today is just like, whoa, you're talking mass production, man. There's, again, in numbers, you know, just quality will eventually just tend to suffer, you know. It's another example. We ended up getting some product in where I work, and here I'll show you what we have left of this product. Looking at we got some samples and whatnot. I mean, I'm not going to even say who the products are. This is as far as we got on these. Just tried smoking them yesterday. They have 20,000 plants or something like that. You know, like I couldn't do it, man. It was just like, it was harsh. It was giving me a headache. Yeah, it was just like the absolute quality of it. Flavor was okay on one of them. Both of them were just harsh on the throat, harsh on everything.
Didn't have much flavor in one of them. Like you took a dry hit and it just was absolutely nothing. It's
stuff that passes testing. It's nothing that we have on the shelf. It's just samples from a company, you know what I mean? But it's what's available to market at incredibly large scale like that, 20,000 plants. And I'm not saying that you can't do it at that scale, but I'm saying that it's a lot of quality control that you really have to keep an eye on.
And what's that sell for, Red?
Like, say that again?
So if that wasn't a freebie, like
I would probably say that those would probably be like a 15 somewhere in the range of $15 to $18 on
1 gram.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know what we would get it for, but like that's probably what we would sell it for. On an eighth of that, we'd probably be in the range. It'd probably be in the range of like 40 to 45. Maybe even higher. I'm not sure what they sell it for, of course. So I want to say that off the top of my head that it was a little bit high. So it may actually be in that more like 50 and 8th echelon.
I think they say it's like they're like an exotic.
I feel like the price per pound on theirs was a little bit higher when they were looking at it. And I want to say that we probably wouldn't be able to get rid of it for anything less than like probably 50 or 60 and 8th at those price points. But I could be wrong on all of that. It sucks, man. You know, and what will happen is, you know, it's a lot of it is marketability. You know, I didn't keep any of the branding around, so I can't show it. But and I kind of want to keep the name out because I'm kind of dogging them a little bit. But anyways, the branding was nice, you know. It was like, it looked like what you see like luxury cannabis or something like that. But you know, I want to see the proof in the package. You know, I can take a crap in a not really nice looking box.
And I'm
sell
smoking
to
it, not looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, their packaging was awfully nice for really dry flower.
harsh, more or less.
Did it have a date on it and it was like way past due?
Here's the
No,
thing, man.
it was like
Yeah, no
November,
date.
December.
What
Oh,
did the
shit.
Oh
package
yeah, that's the thing.
look
It was like a December.
What did the
It was
package
nice.
look like?
I really
Yeah,
don't. I really don't want to describe it too heavily, just because I don't want to put them under the
Well,
bus that bad.
like,
but-
was it glass?
It was a glass.
It was a glass tube. Yeah. They did glass tube. It was actually opaque. Also, I'll describe it a little bit. It was opaque. Opaque. I'll say opaque. I won't call it color, but it was opaque glass, which I thought
How
was
many times
really
can I
nice.
say it?
And off that, they put a lot of effort into their packaging in that respect. I am smoking Rainbow Driver I'm smoking Rainbow Driver bottoms and trim that I harvested in July, probably early July, and it has way more flavor and is far more superior of an effect, at least to me, qualitatively. And I may be biased, but if I smoked anything that I got from anybody that, you know, tasted like this, I would, you know, it wouldn't matter when it was harvested in that respect. You know what I mean? But that was supposed to be fresh, and it's just really rough. I would imagine the one said it had like 2% terpenes, which was really difficult for me to believe. Not gonna lie, it didn't have much fragrance coming out of the tube, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where the
pre-rolls
disconnect.
suck though, because like sometimes you will grab a bud from a jar and you're like, I don't really smell anything.
Do you still
Then
have
you
the
break
package?
it open.
No,
What's
I
that?
tossed the package, and
I
I
was
don't
just
want
wondering
to.
if you could. No, I didn't want to see the package.
Not
I was just
sure.
wondering.
The seal.
I just wanted to see. No, I wanted to see when the harvest date was.
Yeah, it was sometime in December.
One
The
of
harvest date
them was
sometime.
November and one was December.
Yeah,
They were both
That's the biggest issue I think with
fairly
weed in the
new.
stores.
Pretty fresh. Fairly
Yeah.
fresh.
A lot of the times it's not.
they were fairly fresh. No, yeah. I mean, there's stuff that, you know. Well, now that we have this Viridis thing, I mean, there's stuff that's going to be really old. But like
when did it get ground? That's my thing.
I think most of that Viridis stuff is going to be in concentrates. To be honest with you, it's going to be processed.
a lot of the stuff went out back on the shelf.
I just saw
went
something.
into quarantine for a little while. Some stuff is still in quarantine. By quarantine, it went into like an individual tote mark quarantine and went back into the same storage that we keep all of our normal stock. And well, that's MRA rules. You know, that is quarantine, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not getting sold, but it's also staying in the same climate control as everything else. We're not subjecting it to being opened or touched or anything like that. So in my opinion, and anything that was on the shelf, you know, display stuff, all of that stuff did not go. All that stuff is, you know, no longer sellable in any of our eyes. So all of that stuff ends up actually getting destroyed. And I don't know how much we still have from Viridis, but almost everything got released.
I do.
Back out.
We have
Oh, okay.
15 package IDs. So like it's all lemonade, really.
So yeah, there's
Ew.
I know a lot of those.
But
I don't know how much, but I know that in the second day of the trial, one of the people from Viridis testified that they were like 60% done testing, like retesting. So I'd imagine before too long they were going to be done. I mean,
a lot of it's come back. A lot of it went back out.
Just to clarify, what are they testing for?
Microbial.
It's just microbial. So Aspergillus. I can't think of all the damn. It's just the microbial. The total microbial counts.
and we had to send back stuff, batches and things like that to go get tested as well through our,
Interesting.
yeah, through what we have as stock. So all of that had to go get sent out, retested. Yeah, everything seems to have passed. I'm not sure if they had to go back to Virtus to get tested, or if they.
No, they went back to where they came from, the vendor.
Okay.
And then they sent them. They
back.
put them in a new batch and then sent them to be tested.
Right.
They had to like put it all back together or something.
Make a new batch out of it or something.
So
something weird.
So it ends up getting rehandled 2-3 times, which does end up suck. Yeah, it ends. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not.
I don't know if it gets repackaged.
Well, I can't say about every facility, but yeah, I mean that's usually destroy the old tags and just generate new tags. Right back on the packages.
And like I said, most of the stock ended up actually going into quarantine in our store, so it didn't actually like have to get transported. Not all the stock got transported back to the vendor, only the samples that needed to get retested.
I actually don't have any problems. If it's retested and it's fine, then I don't have
any problem. There we go.
Yeah.
Last 15 minutes of the show. I don't want it to be a drag near the end.
No, it's definitely it's just the reality of what's going on right now within that part of the market, honestly. But honestly, there is good quality pre-rolls, but that's just what that scale, dude. It's just you have to be on top of your quality. And if you are at that scale, I'm not saying that whatever it is in these, you should be using more of a quality flower, whether it's bottoms or whatever.
Let me try to use this as what I was trying to explain earlier. So I'm a cigarette smoker. I have been for years. And I'm also one of those dudes that'll roll like 2 or 3 joints and throw them in my pack if I'm going somewhere. Whether I use them all or not, doesn't matter. But then that'll get put away in a coat, right? And then I won't wear that coat for like 3 weeks or something. And I bust that joint out and it still tastes really good.
Fuck yeah, it should.
But what I'm talking about is these aren't pre-rolls that are made on site. These are pre-rolls that are made somewhere else that are packaged with like a date, and then there's the time that it takes to get it transported and it's sitting on the shelf. It's kind of like if you have another like a backup grinder and you didn't use everything inside of it and you like open, if it's been a long time, a lot of those terps and those good smells and shit have gone.
The best cannabis is ground fresh.
Yes.
That's why I don't do any of my trimming until orders come through. I don't trim my cannabis the way that other people trim it. Most people dry their cannabis and they're off to trimming the entire batch. I dry my cannabis and then I seal up my cannabis the way that it seals up, and it's not opened until I need to take a little bit out for a patient, and then I trim it up for the patient there, right there fresh, and then off it goes. And it may be slightly more of a nuisance on my schedule this way and sometimes I'll get ahead of it and I'll trim a little bit extra, but I don't like to do that because it opens up the flavonoids and it becomes a better product. Similarly to grinding your coffee fresh or just
I have an SOP question on that. So you're doing these trimming to order. So let's say that you're trimming an ounce up for a patient.
For many years, yeah.
Do you have a way that you're collecting and saving those? Are you using like a trim tray or something so that you're
collecting
getting all that?
And saving what? The trichomes?
Trim.
The trim itself.
Yeah. The trim goes into gallon bags and then stored into totes, individual strains. Yeah.
So that you can work it later on.
And it's not just trim. It's bottoms, it's bud, it's whatever's, a lot of that. And then that's actually what we're smoking. I'm tapping into this bag.
An 80s thing to me.
This just so happens we don't have any Rainbow Driver. I haven't had Rainbow Driver in like 2 months. So this is from July. I had to go digging through some stored bags today. Sorry, Beck, I'm about to shove this bag of weed in your face. You might like to smell the weed. I had to go digging through some totes of old shrubbery to find some old trim because there's a lot of nug meat in there that we're smoking on, and it smells great, smokes great. I won't collect my keef immediately while I'm trimming either. That gets done collectively in a bulk scenario. Like once I have a couple of these bags together, I'll do it all, and then I'll jar it all up. That way it's not sitting in the tray for a couple of days or anything like that.
So how do you store those jars?
I typically don't even trim over my trim trays. I trim over just garden trays and then store which ones? The jars or the bags?
The jars themselves after you've collected. Do you keep them in a
the
freezer?
keys?
Do you keep them in a dark spot? Do you
I
do
have
special?
a desk
They're in a cabinet.
cabinet right
Okay.
here,
They're in the dark.
wooden, in the dark. Our room temperature is 67 to 69 in this house. Usually doesn't get much above 70 in here for the most part. In the summertime, it might creep up 71, 72, but for the most part, it's around 69, 70 all year round.
Even then, the cupboard's there's not a lot of air exchange going on.
Not a lot of air exchange. It's probably even a little bit cooler at most times in the cupboard because the sunlight's not hitting it or anything like that. I also have a safe that I will keep products in and things like that if I have to.
Well, I think if you have a jar or the ability to in your own grower, just save yourself a little teeny jar and put it away for a really, really rainy day and see how long you can hold on to that.
If I have a lot of jars, I'll put them in a tote and then put that tote somewhere just because opaque. You just want sunlight. Your factors of deterioration is sunlight, probably number one, oxygen, moisture, the top three. I suppose a cat getting into it, pet hair, dander, and dust is a fourth.
Don't you attack
like
painted
that.
lady
But
like that.
like there's more, but like the
taken.
first one's gonna be sunlight, and well, I don't know. Sunlight and oxygen might collectively, all three of them collectively deteriorate, but like the oxygen and moisture are going to cause mold or whatever at some point, and sunlight is just going to take too long to give you some Acapulco gold or whatever it is. But who knows what sunlight might do? Maybe it enhances the CBN and gives you a little bit better bud if that's what you're into. So it all depends on your craft and your art in the end. So you might want to leave your bud out in the sunlight, but you might want to let it get crispy. I don't know. This stuff doesn't have much
jar in reserve.
This stuff doesn't have much moisture in it. It's just been in a Ziploc. It's super dry in my house. It's been dry for a long time. There's probably very little monoterpenes, but I can tell it's high in sesquiterpene because it's not doing anything right now because it's not burning. It's just sitting in my hand because I'm talking too much. But it's still there. Yeah, it's still there, and I know. You know what I mean? Yeah. The other stuff, I wish that something grown more at a higher scale had a little bit more of a longevity to it. It's for the price point. The price point. My price point isn't anything more than
right. Your price point at that point is you're paying for packaging, and in hopes that like, wow, they've got attention to detail like this for packaging. I hope that they do for the plant as well.
Right.
I like to really hope that it's going to be good. That's how I go into it, and we get a lot of free samples and a lot of.
It was a nice day too,
to
man. I was like, oh, let's go for like a longer ride, and we'll like enjoy these. And like, it's really the sun came out. We get sunlight in summer, in the winter time here in Michigan, like 5 times, in like 3 months. So like, it was one of our sunny days, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Let's like cruise the back roads and do the thing. The car got fixed, let's listen to some music, and no, dude, headache, harsh throat, getting off the expressway, the car stalls. What the fuck is going on? So I fucking boogie home, put them out, fucking done, roasted the sesh. Those things are compost. But anyway,
welcome to the late sesh. Last very good vibes
of the show.
We really don't have a topic.
It is, man. We're smoking some good
like
tonight. I got the rainbow driver, man, so it's got me chatty. Sorry, somebody else talk. Becca, how was your day?
Somebody else talk, man. I don't want to talk either.
So I popped seeds the other day, and I got 100% germination.
What pack?
All those fuckers, man.
It was the Ethos run, right?
Yeah, Ethos.
Grandpa's Stash was one of them.
Grandpa's Stash, Endgame, Galactic Grape from Lovin' in Her Eyes.
Yeah, man.
A couple different Shepherd's Pie and a Sweet Cream from East Coast Cultivars.
Do you have a method that's like foolproof for you?
Fucking paper towel, man. Paper towel in sandwich bags. That's how I was taught, and it works. It just works for me. It's my favorite method. Then I on top of the fucking fridge.
Are you talking about rehydrating? Oh, popping seeds.
Popping seeds. Yeah, if you're getting 100% germination rate every time, like whatever you're doing, don't listen to anybody else. Just keep doing whatever you're doing.
On top of the fridge for a day or two, and then I just check them the
Yeah.
next day.
I just put mine on top of my T5s. I just tossed the bag on there.
Sequence was talking about putting a plate on top of there and then putting the seeds on. I was like, oh man, he was the first person I ever heard that from. I said, shit, that's a great idea.
Fucking, how about just stick it in the goddamn soil? Fucking
Stick
stop
it in the soil. I've done that, and then hit it with a spray bottle on the top. You know what I mean? And just kind of water kiss it in.
Or root riots. I
feel-
like the root riot cubes
I don't
too.
know. I like
I
it.
think I'm gonna try that.
When I was a kid, man,
Do it.
you know,
Oh
you
I got nothing to
coconut.
lose.
when I was a kid, Daddy Red would get. No, I'm not gonna. My dad would get the what do you call it?
Trying to be
Daddy
more-
Red. Dad.
Mhm.
How long
Sorry.
is the story, and how much time do we have left? Just a second.
No.
We have
I
5
have plenty
minutes.
of time. Plenty of time. Yeah,
Somebody else
Okay.
talk, please.
electrical
Right?
tape.
That's what we
Electrical
just said.
tape. Electrical tape would come in these little plastic
Good times in
containers, and they
between.
were round, and they were the same petri dish looking things that we would pop, that we would use to germinate seeds in science class. And I was in like 7th grade science class. We germinated bean seeds in these petri dishes, right? And then we planted them. We used paper towel, and it was the paper towel method in a petri dish. So I didn't have a petri dish, but I did have electrical tape containers. So I popped a couple holes in the electrical. Sorry, Daddy Red, I stole your electrical tape container. At one point, you may have been missing the container for your electrical tape. I popped my first cannabis seeds in that. So I was a ripe old age of far too young to probably be popping cannabis seeds, but that's what I was doing because nature was in fact calling me. So that's yeah.
So, in other words,
Paper towel
everything
method.
everybody has their own different way of popping.
Everybody has
Paper-
their way that works, and just keep doing
And
it.
I would use little plastic containers forever until one day I was just like, why don't I just use a fucking plastic bag? And I just started putting them in plastic bags, and that was many years ago. But I
Some
really use
people
little
put them
containers.
in water and soak them. Some people, like you said, Spartan, just put them right in the soil. Or
I always thought if the
I
paper
get a
towel's
weird
wet, they're soaking. So I avoided the soaking always. And I was just like,
It's
I'm
like the 2-cup
soaking.
method. Like, you know how Spartan uses the clear cup, and then the outer cup is like the red beer cup. Is you can still do that, but then take another clear cup and put it over top of it, put some holes in it, and then you can make like a little humidity dome over top of that in the seed where you started off in the solo cup.
Yeah, I like that one too. But Spartan's right, man. Starting in the soil is one of the best ways because you got the best.
If it'll take
chance-
off, it'll take off. You know what I mean?
You got
It's
the best
already in
chance
the
of it pulling
environment.
the seed hat off, also, dude. Because when that seed hat stays on there, you sucks. You got
Just leave it
a
alone.
day. If you don't fuck with that thing that day and get it off of there, and it stays on, you've dwarfed or killed your seedling. You know what I mean?
Try a little bit of water from your spray bottle.
Yeah, that helps. Sometimes you really got to pick it off of there. You know, I that's a common thing with
Some tweezers, man.
watermelon and
Sunflowers.
sunflowers. Yeah, we had to give them a lot of assistance. Very common thing with them.
Poor girls never would have survived on their own.
Get all hung up. No, maybe they weren't planted deep enough because we put them in starts, and if we plant them deeper in the ground, maybe they have a better chance of coming up. But maybe it had to do with our starting cubes or something. But I'm trying soil blocks. A soil block cube, even more
Seem
convenient
better.
because you don't have to use any plastic or anything. I could use a 1020 tray, minimum plastic at least, or a Lexan style plastic tray of some sort, and use a soil block cube. And,
Little metal
yeah.
good thing.
Well, we'll see how they do. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they sprouted. They're starting to sprout anyway. About a third of them have sprouted, but you know.
So which one are you looking forward to the most out of that? Like, what holds the most promise?
A couple of them from Ethos I'm pretty excited about. The Triple X and the End Game I'm really excited about, and the Galactic Grape from Lovin I'm
Yeah.
really excited about. So yeah, well, I'm fingers crossed. We'll see how they all do, and you know, I'm excited for a new crop. It's always fun. New genetics are always fun.
Yeah, I've got a new crop tomorrow. I'm harvesting donkey butter at work. So
Nice.
What's your report on it so far?
it looks great. We'll see what happens.
Fuck yeah.
It's fucking great.
Oh,
It was actually, I think it was like the last plant picture I posted on my Instagram.
It looked good. I think I remember seeing that. What everything you guys
Yeah, man.
are doing.
We've had some good runs lately, so yeah, we've been looking really good these last few harvests for sure.
Come through Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Bros Show Live.
Polarity Science, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, behind the veil. We have like 30 seconds, so yeah. with our township cracking the whip, we're gonna be
take the